Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Walking Between Shadows. We're your host. I'm Ben,
I'm Taryn.
and we're glad to have you.
Yes,
And
we
we're going to
are.
talk about a fun one this week.
It's fun. I guess it's fun. It's
Yeah.
still murder, but it's gonna have a good ending very soon. I hope.
And it feels like it's like a slow train wreck when
Yeah.
I refer to this case.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's terrible. It really is. So fun,
Not so much.
a little more laid back
Hmm.
than some of the other ones we have done before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
So before we get started, Taryn, let's talk about our strain for this episode.
Yes. I'm
And
actually
yeah, so we're
see it.
proud to say, hey, we're here with Elevate Dispensary in Belton, Missouri,
Yeah.
and we're going to talk about Cherry Diesel. And Cherry Diesel is one of their house strains, and yeah, there's the packaging for it. And again, this comes from Elevate Dispensary in Belton, Missouri. Great dispensary. They really are good to us. They have a good variety of selection and stuff. If you're ever in the Kansas City area, definitely look up Elevate, and they're opening new locations around Missouri soon.
Yeah.
But again, Elevate Missouri is in Belton, or Elevate Dispensary in Belton is
Yeah.
who we're referring to.
Yeah.
So we're excited. We've partnered up with them. We're going to start talking about more and more of their stuff, and we definitely appreciate that they have the faith in us to put them out there too.
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
exciting. So Cherry Diesel, house brand or house strain from Elevate.
Yes.
Cherry Diesel, also known as Cherry Turbo Diesel in some other circles, is a well balanced hybrid marijuana strain created by crossing Cherry OG and Turbo Diesel. Cherry Diesel is pungent and features a cherry flavored, should I say, a cherry forward flavor. And the profile continues with sweet diesel undertones. In terms of effects, this strain is more energizing than calming. You might need to put that down.
Ooh.
Cherry Diesel effects will make you feel motivated and uplifted, ideal for taking on mundane tasks or working on creative challenges. The energizing effects of this strain make it a great candidate for a wake and bake session.
Nice.
Cherry Diesel is 15% THC, an ideal strain for new and experienced cannabis consumers. Medical marijuana patients choose Cherry Diesel to relieve symptoms associated with anxiety, depression, and stress. This strain was originally bred by MTG Seeds. So let's go to your experience. Talk to us about your experience with Cherry Diesel. Is it
Well,
really uplifting?
yes, it is, and it makes you laugh. So if you like to laugh and you like to talk and you like to, it's good for this time of year.
Oh, so instead of me thinking you're making fun of me, I can just say, quit smoking that Cherry Diesel.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
Try that. Yeah, so I think it's probably really good for this time of year because you're going to be around your family. They're going to be getting on your nerves. Smoke a little bit of this cherry diesel. Laugh, enjoy it.
Yeah, just live in the moment
Just
with it.
live in the moment, and it
Mhm.
will help calm you at the same time. You have a good laugh and
You can wrap the hell out of some presents.
wrap some presents and eat some really good food though
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So yeah,
So we talk about the dominant terpene, and lately caryophyllene, the pepper terpene, has been something that's been prominent in strains we've tested or
hmm
that you've smoked
hmm
lately. In Cherry Diesel, the dominant terpene is limonene. So it should have a little bit of a citrus
right.
tone to it too, does it?
It does, and I've been putting it in. Okay, so we tried this, or I tried this. You just looked at me, but the grape king palm.
Yeah.
You know those king palms. So now they've got this grape, and it's like a new grape.
Like a HD.
Oh, it's amazing.
Heavy
So
duty.
it's like, yeah. So it's like biting into one of those bubblicious. You remember the bubblicious grape bubble
Mm-hmm.
gum? It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Oh, well, that's what this is like. And you put a little bit of this cherry diesel in there, which has got or a lot, and it's got it's got a really fruity, wonderful taste.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. So
So yeah, I highly recommend the cherry diesel.
it finishes out with caryophyllene a little bit and linalool. So a little bit of floral, a little bit of pepper.
Yeah.
And does it have a diesel kind of taste
It
to it
does,
too?
but it's not very potent. You know, it's just the after effect of it. It's like the walk out of the room,
I got you. I
the little
got you.
breeze as you're walking out. You know,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool. Cool. So that's again cherry diesel
Mhm.
from Elevate Belton.
Elevate, yes.
And we highly recommend this strain, and the expert over there is highly recommending this strain.
Very much.
So that's our strain of the episode.
Yeah, go get it for the holidays.
Right on. A Gypsy Rose Blanchard from Springfield.
Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah, but originally she was from Louisiana,
Mhm.
and we'll talk about that. We'll bring that full circle.
Yes.
So this is a case of Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
Hmm.
So what does that mean, Taryn? What is Munchausen syndrome by proxy?
It is when a caregiver, normally a parent to a child,
Mm,
will make the child sick or make up illnesses or give some medications to a child that will make them sick, that will mimic illnesses. It's basically telling a child they're sick their whole entire life
yeah.
and doing things to make them sick so they can get attention medically.
So it's taken over psychologically.
Right.
Yeah. And then
Absolutely.
creating physical ailments along with that.
Hmm. That's right.
So Gypsy was bound into a wheelchair and bedridden
Gypsy,
on tons of medicine.
tons of issues. Was told she had muscular dystrophy. Was told she had leukemia, cancer, seizure disorders, ear and eye problems. She even had her saliva glands removed.
Oh my gosh.
Victoria. She was told she was paralyzed from the waist down,
Mm-hmm.
allergic to sugar, mildly mentally retarded, as her mother put it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard and Dee Dee Blanchard.
Yeah.
This is their case.
Yeah. All right. So start from the get-go.
Well, we'll start whenever Dee Dee and Gypsy move from Louisiana because of Hurricane Katrina. So that was what, 2006? Or was it 2005?
I think it was 05.
Okay. So in 2005, after Hurricane Katrina, Gypsy and Dee Dee moved to Springfield, Missouri, and are welcomed by the community when they get there. I mean, they see this mother who is a single mother and raising this handicapped child with all these issues or said issues.
Mm-hmm.
And Dee Dee never allowed Gypsy to go to school. So she never went to public school and got an education. She never got to join any groups or have any friends. She couldn't go outside and play. I mean, she was wheelchair bound and doped up and fed through a feeding tube.
She wasn't even allowed to talk on the phone.
No. And there was, later on down after they had moved to Springfield, I mean, there was a girl in the neighborhood by the name of Aaliyah that Gypsy really looked up to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when Gypsy started noticing that something wasn't right. I mean, how old was she then? Well, she was 19 years old. She never knew how old she really was. She found a birth certificate after they had moved to Springfield, and after she had kind of made friends with this Aaliyah girl in the neighborhood and wanted to be more like her and was wondering why she couldn't be, and started looking around her mother's room and found her birth certificate and found out that she was not a kid.
Yeah.
She was actually, at that time, 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Very much babied, if that's how you want to put it. I don't know how to, coddled by her mother.
Yeah.
Immature.
Yep.
I mean, why wouldn't she be? But she lived.
As she'd never had any kind of school, not even homeschool.
No, nothing. I mean, this is abuse to the maximum.
Mm-hmm.
And she had all these surgeries. I mean, they even took muscle from her leg to do this scan for muscular dystrophy. She said it was a very painful surgery.
Oh, yeah. Muscle biopsies.
Still has, the scar.
Mm-hmm.
Her father. So Gypsy's father and Dee Dee Blanchard divorced when Gypsy was like 2. So she was really young. And Dee Dee began immediately telling Gypsy's father that she's sick. And it just kept getting worse. With the years going by, there was something new.
Right.
It was cancer. And it was, muscular dystrophy. And then it was mental retardation. And the list would go on. And she would add to it. And it just snowballed and snowballed. Once they were in Springfield, there was a doctor that noticed that there was nothing wrong with Gypsy. Actually got her to stand up in his doctor's office room
Yeah.
and didn't do anything about it.
No.
Yeah.
This was a case like we've noticed through this whole deal that these doctors that noticed something was wrong, they would put it in a report.
Yeah.
They wouldn't tell anybody. They wouldn't call the law enforcement. That was where it ended every time.
Right. What's the report do? What good is that if you're not going to use it?
Yeah, because then that would make her mother mad, and she'd go doctor shopping again.
Yeah. So that's what she was known for, was jumping from doctor to doctor. Every time one would start to get an idea of something going on, she'd move to the next. So, I mean, that's what Gypsy went through, and very isolated, very, very isolated, into big time into Disney movies, like it was weird.
Yeah, they would dress up to go see the movies.
They would dress up and go see these premieres, and they would go to these sci-fi, festivals. When a lot of people like to do that, but
Yeah,
Gypsy, that was the only way she was ever going to get out. Period.
yeah.
Is with her mother. So when she was about 19 years old, she starts online dating. She had to sneak this. She goes on ChristianMingle.com, and she meets a man by the name of Nicholas. Let me say this. Go to John. Is it Go to John or Go to John?
Go to John.
Okay, Go to John.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicholas has some mental issues, major. He is autistic, but he is also multiple personality disorder, bipolar disorder, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
You name it. But Gypsy would role play with him. So Nicholas is telling Gypsy that he's this 500 and something year old vampire
named Victor.
God. Yeah. And that was he was like this killer.
Yeah.
He was this killer. They would role play, and she was Ruby, and she was this sexy redheaded vixen, all these things. And there were several different roles they would play. Gypsy comes up with the idea that she wants to meet Nicholas. She's ready to see him. They've been talking for 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. So it was time.
Yeah, she even sent him clothes to wear.
Yes. So
for his visit,
sends him a bus ticket and tickets to the Cinderella movie premiere that her and her mother were going to. And Nicholas meets her there.
So I got a question. It's probably speculation, but her mother was so strict and stringent on keeping up with what she was doing. Mm-hmm. How did she not know Gypsy was sending this guy money and bus tickets and clothes? Did Gypsy have her own money?
See, Dee Dee never worked either, as far as I know. I think she just stayed home and just drew from the government, drew from organizations, and scammed people. That was what she did. Yeah. I mean, she was a scammer.
Yeah, and Gypsy was her proxy. It was terrible how she used this child to get over on many, many organizations, like the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yes. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many trips they took to Disney World, to, all
Habitat for Humanity built their house.
Sure did, after Hurricane Katrina. Yeah. Built them a little pink house in a nice neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And, Gypsy was just a prisoner of her mother.
So going back to what I asked, like, did she? Do you think she just had money squirreled away? Like,
so I think her mother had money squirreled away in bags. I think I saw that somewhere. She had money. It would come in the mail. She'd have people send her money in the mail.
Yeah, there were celebrities that sent her money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Gypsy had access to money.
She had access to money, and at one time before she met Nicholas, she was talking to another man or another boy, and got caught and was chained to a toddler bed in the shed for 2 weeks. Her mother had chained her to a bed for 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, this is how strict this woman was. She was so scared that Gypsy was going to blow her cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Didn't even consider the abuse and the effects that it did to her own child. Didn't care. As long as she was getting that money. Sickening.
Yeah.
I mean, Gypsy had all of her teeth pulled out by the time she was 16 years old because her mother had her a feeding tube in for one, and then another, she had her on a seizure medication that causes that to happen.
Yeah.
And
So in the storyline, we'd gotten to where she had sent this guy a bus ticket.
she sends him a bus ticket and some money to buy some clothes and a hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
And he lives in Wisconsin. So he takes this bus down to Springfield, gets a room, and gets kind of dressed up, like with the clothes that Gypsy sent him, and meets them at the movie theater. And when he gets there, he's trying to give attention to Gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
And Dee Dee is not having it. Well, she's pissed. She hated him. She hated Nicholas. She didn't want Gypsy to have anything to do with him. She even moved in the theater once and took Gypsy with her, and he moved too. So, I mean, it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Gypsy, low-key, tells her mom, I'm going to the bathroom. And Nicholas follows her. And they go to the men's bathroom into the handicap stall and make sweet love right there in the bathroom.
Sweet. I doubt it, but okay.
So there you go.
Yeah.
And that's probably another example of how Gypsy felt like she had to please and do for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not something she really wanted to do, but felt
Mm-hmm.
like she had to,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. I don't know. He came all this way. So after the encounter in the bathroom and the movies, Gypsy and Nicholas really start. He goes home, goes back to Wisconsin, and he and Gypsy really get serious.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her, I really want to be with you. I'll do anything for you, anything. And she's saying, there's no way my mom's going to allow that to happen, ever. She's not going to allow it to happen. He's like, I'll do anything for you. She said, well, will you kill my mother? And he says, yeah, I will. So they call it Plan B. And they start talking about Plan B and not the birth control pill. This is Plan B between Gypsy and Nicholas to kill Dee Dee Blanchard.
Mm-hmm.
So on June the 9th of 2015, after several weeks, months of planning this, Gypsy had sent Nicholas a bus ticket, again, money, and they were ready to carry out this Plan B. And he gets to Springfield, and a little after midnight, he receives a message to come on over, and Dee Dee's a light sleeper. He gets excited about this. Victor's going to love that. He's talking about himself in third person.
Yeah, so he's referring to another one of his personalities that's going to execute this plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
He's very demanding.
very, very, very demanding.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs duct tape. He needs the gloves outside the door. He needs, a knife. He needs everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Gypsy says, I'll leave it all outside the door. Screen door's squeaky, so be quiet. Don't talk to me. He tells her, you go get in the bathroom. And while I'm in there killing your mother, here's two choices. I'm either going to rape her or I'm going to rape you. But before I rape you, you need to shave your body completely of all body hair and present yourself to me naked after I'm done killing your mother.
Sick son of a bitch. God.
Just, wow. I mean, you think about it, this guy's really deep into this.
I mean, didn't they have quite an argument over the whole rape thing? Like his alter personality, Victor, was adamant that he was going to rape her mother after she was dead.
And Gypsy says, you're not doing that to her.
Right.
You're not going to do that to her, but you can do that to me.
Yeah.
But you're not doing that to her. So he goes and in her bedroom, in Dee Dee's bedroom, and she had already taken a sleeping pill, so she was probably pretty out of it.
Yeah.
Even though she was a light sleeper. And he stabs her violently. So violently that he almost removed her head.
Mm.
Gypsy was crouched down in the bathroom when this was going on. I guess she had already shaved. And she was crouched down in the bathroom and heard her mother holler for her, Gypsy, or who's there, and then yelled for Gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
So after the killing was over, Nicholas goes to the bathroom and has a special knock. So she lets him in, naked, And he starts demanding again, clean the blood up, give me a Band-Aid, do this, do that.
Yeah.
She's probably thinking, shit, I'm going from one situation to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. So they come up with this plan to take the murder weapon, which was a knife, and mail it to his home in Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
to Nicholas's home. And that's what they do. So they get a cab from Gypsy's house, which gave it up right there.
Yeah.
And they take it back to the hotel that Nicholas was staying in before he went to Gypsy and Dee Dee's. And he and Gypsy are there that night. And there's a little video of them being weird.
Mm-hmm.
And Gypsy said, she was high that night.
Yeah.
She had taken a lot of her Xanax and Vicodin, and she was really, really high. Probably had to be after such a brutal attack and situation. They're in the hotel room acting goofy. They post something. So Nicholas and Gypsy post on Dee Dee and Gypsy's shared Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And they post, the bitch is dead. And that Gypsy said she did this. She wanted to do this because she wanted Dee Dee's friends to know that something was wrong. And so the police would go there and find her. She did not want to think about her mother rotting in that house dead and nobody finding her.
Right.
So she claims that's why they made this post. The second post said, I slashed that pig and I raped her innocent, sweet daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So Dee Dee and Gypsy's friends and neighbors see these posts and they're freaking out.
Yeah.
Like something has happened. So they send the police over to Dee Dee and Gypsy's home and they discover Dee Dee's body and that Gypsy is gone, but her wheelchair is still at the house.
So what kind of time has passed since the act and now?
2 days.
So this is just 2 days later.
2 days. They were not out long at all.
Gotcha.
And so they had taken a bus from back to Wisconsin
Mm-hmm.
to Nicholas and to Nicholas's home with his parents. And the police tracked that down. They're able to track that down through these posts and all these things.
Yeah.
And they get to Nicholas's home. They surround the house. There was a standoff for a minute. I believe he was out waving a knife around and, acting foolish. He had been charged before, like a year before this murder, for
Lewd acts.
lewd acts. I didn't know how to really put that on here.
Mm-hmm.
At McDonald's. I mean, he was masturbating in McDonald's for 9 hours. 9 hours.
For 9 hours.
9 hours before.
So you're telling me an entire shift of people were like, yeah, he's jerking off over there. He's all right.
I guess.
No big deal.
No big deal. I mean,
And then shift change happens, and the night manager's like, oh, hell no. Calls the police.
we ain't doing all that at McDonald's. Nobody's gonna
9 hours in McDonald's. God.
Well, so I mean, he'd been in trouble. The police kind of knew who he was anyway.
Uh-huh.
They go inside and they're scared. They're afraid they're going to find Gypsy dead or kidnapped and tied up.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Gypsy's in there walking around.
Yeah.
Just as normal can be.
Mm-hmm.
So they take them both in and for questioning, and after several attempts of them trying to get Gypsy to admit what she'd done, or what happened, trying to get some kind of, she comes out with it, and she tells the truth. And Nicholas, he denied that quite a bit for a while. I mean, he was trying to deny it and carrying on like that. In 2016, Gypsy goes to trial.
Yeah.
And she pleads guilty to second-degree murder, and she is sentenced to 10 years in prison. And a year later, I believe, Nicholas goes to trial, and he pleads not guilty, and he is sentenced to life in prison on first-degree murder charges. So he'll be there for life, but Gypsy's getting out.
Gypsy's getting out.
And it's about damn time. She's done 8 years. She's done 85%. in what's the prison? What's
Chillicothe
okay?
Correctional Complex. That's the women's unit for Missouri.
So she's done her 8 years, and she gets out December the 28th.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at how many days now?
Just a few.
Just 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
So close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know she's excited, and I know that there's big news for Gypsy.
Yeah.
So in 2019, she broke off an engagement with a man named Ken.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't stop Gypsy. See, she's still looking for the Mr. She was still looking for Mr. Right, even in prison, even after the bullshit she'd been through.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up meeting a man from Louisiana by the name of Ron Scott Anderson. And they married while she was still in prison, or still is in prison, as of June of 2022. So she's a married woman. And I just found this out.
Yeah. Yeah. That was news to me this morning.
How do you feel about that?
Weird. So, like the first guy that she was engaged to in prison was she met through the pen pal program of the prison.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this second guy that she actually got married to back in June, was it June or July?
Maybe it was July.
I think they got married in July.
Okay. My bad.
He's from the same area in Louisiana that Gypsy's originally from. So, was it a connection made by her family? Was it an introduction? Do you know anything about how that started?
I believe that her father and her stepmother do know this man
Yeah.
and have given a huge thumbs up for him and
Yeah.
their stamp of approval. Gypsy's dad has been very much involved in her life since her incarceration
Mm-hmm.
and is devastated by what she has been through, but is going to be there for the rest of her
Sure.
life from now on.
And her
And
stepmother's a huge
oh yeah,
supporter. I mean, her
right.
stepmother has gone to the mat for Gypsy.
Right. I mean, her whole family, even on Dee Dee's side,
Mm-hmm.
has got her back.
So that's interesting. There was something about Dee Dee and her ashes after she was cremated after the murder.
So
What happened there?
they send the ashes to her family. And first it was her sister, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
who says, I don't want them. Tries to give them to her dad and her stepmother, Dee Dee's dad and stepmother. They didn't want them. Well, they end up flushing them down the toilet.
Yeah.
That's how much Dee Dee was worth to them.
Yeah.
Because it's said and it's rumored that Dee Dee actually took a huge role in killing her mother, her own mother.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a cycle.
Yeah, and she had pretty well abandoned all of her family, and they had written her off too.
Yes. So I mean, they didn't want
She was
any
a troublemaker from day one.
stealing and scamming and lying on Gypsy and what she'd put their granddaughter through and her own daughter through.
Right.
That's unimaginable abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine having to be in a house with an abusive parent, just one of them,
Yeah.
and not being able to have access to any help, to socializing, to, just living a normal life. I mean, there's parents out here that have kids that are so sick that would do anything in this world for them to be healthy children.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got women like
Or that don't get any help, and they would take a small piece of everything that woman took on Gypsy's behalf.
Right. I personally thought that Gypsy should never have spent one day in prison.
Nope.
But according to Gypsy, that was her most freeing time of her life, which is very sad.
Yeah.
Very, very sad because nobody feels free in prison or jail.
Yeah.
But she did. So I imagine those women took very good care of her.
Mm-hmm.
And she made some lifelong friends in that prison.
Mm-hmm.
And my hope for Gypsy is that her husband is half the man that you are, because it's going to take someone like you to help her.
What do you mean?
Just, you know how you are.
Oh, me? Like, yeah,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I didn't quite understand that dynamic.
I hope that her husband is half the man that you are.
Well, look, it's not that hard when you love somebody. It really
Well,
isn't. It just takes a little bit of patience.
it's time for Gypsy to have a happy life
Yeah.
and a peaceful life. And I hope that she can get the right help that she needs
Yep.
and the support that she needs to live a very happy and healing life.
Well, she's followed a good lead in prison. You know, she's gotten her GED.
Mm-hmm.
She's put herself in a position to be able to come out and take advantage. The learning curve's not going to be as steep as it could have been. You know, with her not ever having any education growing up into her 20s, and, you know, she goes into prison. So I can understand why she would say that it's the most, you know, fulfilling and relieving time she's had since that experience.
Sure. Sure.
But
To eat, I mean, it's
yeah,
shitty food, but it's better than a feeding tube.
that's right.
And not knowing what's going through that feeding tube, because from what I understand, Dee Dee Blanchard was putting medicines and Xanaxes and phenobarbital and you name it,
Yeah.
you know, just
Keeping her weak. Yeah.
keeping her weak.
Yeah.
And she is, I mean, when she went into prison, they had to jerk that feeding tube out, which I can't even imagine.
Oh, yeah. That probably was horrible.
Right. So, like I said, I hope that she has the most peaceful, happy life.
Yep. Well, that's the case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard from Springfield, Missouri, originally from southern Louisiana. And she is scheduled to get out of prison in 5 days at Chillicothe in Missouri.
Countdown.
And I would be willing to bet she's headed back to southern Louisiana with her dad and stepmother and husband.
Yeah, I'm sure. She
Yeah.
probably doesn't have the best of memories here in Missouri.
Yep.
Maybe.
There's a reason she refers to it as misery, probably. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. We love what we do. We appreciate everybody for watching, leaving comments, and we encourage you to hit the like and subscribe buttons. And don't forget that notifications bell so you can see new episodes. Again, we want to extend a special thanks to Elevate Dispensary in Belton, Missouri, and wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas, y'all. Be careful.
We'll see you again soon.
Bye.